The world is a tapestry woven with magic, a force that has birthed countless demonic caves and the foul creatures that inhabit them. But from this same wellspring of power arise the awakened, individuals gifted with special abilities to combat the darkness. Within the cavernous, corpse-strewn remains of a demonic cave, a lone warrior named Bai, clad in advanced red and black combat armor, stands as the sole figure amidst a landscape of death, his white hair a stark contrast to the grim surroundings. He is the commander of the Divine Corps, the world's strongest awakened squad, and this marks his 10th year leading them. Their current target, the SSS-class Demon King Belphegor, has just been confirmed eliminated. The mission, however, felt too easy for a creature of such legendary power. One of his teammates, a brash warrior, complains about the lack of a real fight, but Bai Yi remains pensive, a sense of unease settling over him as he gazes at the still smoldering battlefield. His comrades, Ling Yu, Han Zaiholing, and Lucian, joke about their upcoming vacation and a celebratory feast, their relaxed demeanor a stark contrast to Bai Yi's quiet suspicion. He dismisses their offer to go out together, claiming he will handle the cleanup, a task he usually avoids, which raises a slight, fleeting suspicion in his teammates before they depart, leaving him alone in the silent cave. As they vanish into the distance, Bai Yi's true purpose is revealed. A system window declares the commencement of the real purge operation. This wasn't about the Demon King, it was about his own squad. He raises a hand, and from the ground erupt sinister green vines, glowing with a malevolent light, snaking through the earth towards his unsuspecting friends. The vines, a divine skill called Forbidden Vines, erupt from the ground, ensnaring his comrades completely, rendering them unconscious and defenseless. It's a move he prepared for by lacing their food with a paralytic powder for the past month. His calm, almost detached expression betrays the coldness of his actions as he explains that this is God's decree. The L-class purge operation was never about the demon, it was about purging them, the strongest awakened. His former friends, now trapped and helpless, cry out in disbelief and betrayal, their faces etched with shock and horror as they are consumed by the parasitic plants. Bai Yi watches impassively, his face a mask of cold duty as they demand to know which god would command such an act, and by what right they are being executed after years of loyal service. A voice, smooth and familiar, answers from behind him. It's his 5th squad member, the support mage who had stayed behind with him, revealing himself as the true orchestrator of the betrayal. This man, old friend, mocks Bai Yi's naivety, stating with chilling finality, "When God kills you, does he need a reason? The betrayal is absolute. This man was a plant from the very beginning, his entire decade of camaraderie a meticulously crafted lie to earn their trust, a role he admits made him sick. With his friends dead, Bai Yi is the final target. He is impaled, his life fading as his betrayer stands over him, the mission finally complete. But death is not the end. Bai Yi's consciousness drifts in a dark, star-speckled void, where he is greeted by a spectral, powerful entity, the true form of the Demon King Belphegor, who reveals that what they killed was merely a shell. The Demon King explains they are in his soul domain, a realm sustained by his life force, and makes a startling proposal. He senses Bai Yi's immense hatred and offers a deal powered by his hidden skill, life regression. A chance to be sent back to the distant past, undo everything to change his fate. The price is simple: kill the man who betrayed him and the so-called gods who sit in their high seats pulling the strings of fate. Without hesitation, Bai Yi agrees, his voice filled with venomous resolve. "I'll kill him." Pleased with the answer, Belphegor grants him one more gift, a welcoming present for their new pact, before his consciousness fades to black. He awakens with a jolt to a woman's voice calling his name. "Bai Yi, wake up." He finds himself not in the void, but in a sunlit classroom, a place he hasn't seen in 20 years. He is young again, a middle school student, sitting in the very academy where his journey as an awakened began. It's real. He has returned to the time before his first awakening, a chance to rewrite his entire life. The teacher, a woman named Teacher Huang, scolds him for sleeping in class right before his awakening ceremony and sends him to the back of the room. He looks around, seeing the faces of classmates he'd long forgotten, a wave of surreal nostalgia washing over him. Belphegor's power was real. The teacher continues her lesson, explaining the fundamentals of their world. There are 5 elemental powers: lightning, flower, cloud, nuclear, and stellar, and each person can only contain one. She, for example, possesses the rare cloud element. These elements combine with roles like combat, support, and special, creating numerous professions for the awakened. The professions themselves are ranked from lowest to highest: dust, ember, abyss, and celestial. Today's awakening ceremony is the single most important day of their lives, the one chance they get to awaken a profession that will decide their future status in the world. As the school day ends, Bai Yi walks through the familiar grounds, a place where he first awakened his powers. His nostalgic trance is broken by a confrontation. A tall, brutish student, Hong Kaiyingsheng, blocks his path, sneering at him. Hong is a natural awakener, one of the rare few who awaken their powers without the aid of a chamber, and he looks down on those like Bai Yi who rely on what he calls artificial means. The bully, an E-rank stellar assassin, radiates an arrogant aura, his power already manifesting around him as he shoves a smaller student aside. The confrontation is interrupted by teacher Huang, who scolds Hong for his behavior. Hong, however, is smug and disrespectful, using the teacher's attractiveness as a shield against any real punishment before swaggering off with his cronies, leaving Bai Yi to contemplate the encounter. Later, everyone gathers at the awakening chamber, a massive, technologically advanced device that stimulates a person's emotions and adrenaline to force an awakening. One by one, students enter, and one emerges having successfully awakened a blue-tier ember profession, a respectable outcome that highlights the life-changing nature of the event. Teacher Huang gives Bai Yi a final word of encouragement, telling him to focus before it's his turn. Inside the chamber, Bai Yi reflects on his past life. He had awakened as a dust-tier C-rank nuclear warrior, a laughably weak profession that led to constant bullying until he finally reawakened as a rare S-rank much later in life. He wonders what he will get this time, knowing he should possess the nuclear element. As the machine activates, flooding his senses with energy, something goes wrong. A blaring red light flashes with the message, "Awakening system error." Instead of one element, the system detects all 5 elemental powers coursing through him. An incredible heat builds inside him as a new message appears. Infinite awakening system activated. This was Belfeger's gift. A system window displays 5 elemental bars, and a new directive explains that because he possesses all 5 types, he can choose any class from any of these elements as his initial profession. Furthermore, by accumulating enough power for a specific element, he can later obtain new random classes for that element or upgrade his existing ones. This means he has limitless potential, capable of obtaining classes of all qualities, from dust to celestial, and even a theorized special quality beyond that. The system gives him a final push, and 5 glowing, ethereal cards representing the elements materialize before him. This power, the ability of infinite awakenings, is his new path. He must choose his initial class carefully, as all his elemental bars will be cleared afterward. He emerges from the chamber, the other students noting how long he took. Teacher Huang rushes to his side, asking what class he awakened. With a calm expression, Bai Yi decides to conceal his true power for now. He tells her the disappointing news. "I awakened as a nucleo warrior, the worst green quality." The teacher's face falls, but she quickly offers words of comfort, telling him not to give up, that many extraordinary people have emerged from even the lowest ranks. Bai Yi simply smiles, knowing she's trying to be kind. As she tries to console him, he suddenly bursts into laughter, finding the entire situation hilarious. The teacher's toxic positivity, as he calls it, is the same well-meaning but naive sentiment she expressed in his past life. He knows the harsh truth she doesn't. Reality isn't like that at all. A dust-rank quality means you are at the very bottom of society. The so-called gods choose the strong, and the weak are there only to be humiliated. His thoughts are interrupted by Hong Kaiyingsheng and his cronies who have returned to mock him. Hong's friend, a glimmer-rank awakened, lectures teacher Huang on the harsh realities of their society. The strong get better resources and grow stronger, while the weak are abandoned. A dust-rank's fate is sealed from the moment they awaken. They are destined to be bottom-tier gophers. The Awakened Academy is just a microcosm of this cruel world. He callously tells the teacher that as a glimmer rank, her only future is as a salaried worker at the school, while dust ranks like Bai Yi should just go home and not waste the government's resources. As he speaks, he casually tosses a drink can, which Bai Yi deftly snatches out of the air before crushing it in his hand. Enraged by the defiance, Hong Kaiyingsheng attacks, his fist glowing with purple stellar energy as he activates his skill, Star Thorn Strike. Bai Yi, however, is no longer the weak boy from his past. With movements honed by a decade of life-or-death battles, he calmly draws the basic light sword that comes with his nucleo warrior class. He meets the blow head-on, a green system window flashing with the word block. Hong is stunned. He can't believe a dust rank could block his attack, but Bai Yi's move is more than a simple block. In the next impossibly small fraction of a second, another window flashes. Parry. With a surge of golden light, Bai not only negates the attack but reflects the force back at his opponent, sending Hong stumbling backward. The crowd of students is bewildered, unable to comprehend what just happened. Bai explains calmly that he's simply used to it, a master of the very class he chose. Hong, furious and humiliated, refuses to believe it was anything but luck. He transforms, his body bulking up as he declares himself a rare abyss rank, completely different from trash like Bai. But teacher Huang and the class president Kai Yin know better. They recognize the technique Bai used. Parry, a top-tier warrior skill that requires impossible timing, blocking an attack and reflecting it within 0.09 seconds. For a newly awakened student with no combat experience to pull off a move that even seasoned warriors struggle to master is unheard of. Hong lunges again, his bayonet glowing with power. "Are you prepared to die?" he roars. Bai stands his ground, his mind clear. He chose this seemingly weakest class for a reason. Judging a person's future from their birth or their awakening is a grave mistake. As Hong's attack closes in, a new voice booms across the courtyard. "That's enough." It is Hong Liang, the dean of the academy and Hong Kaiyingsheng's uncle. The dean quickly diffuses the situation, sending the students home and giving his nephew a stern look for making a fool of himself. As the crowd disperses, Bai's mind races. He had almost forgotten. On this day, May 22nd, 2105, something else critical had happened in his past life, something he absolutely must prevent. He turns and sprints away, leaving the confused teachers and bullies behind. His destination, home. He knows the fight at school was just a prelude to the real tragedy of this day. He arrives at his small, humble home, finding his father, Bai Lingsheng, sitting in a dimly lit room, already drinking. His mother greets him warmly. Seeing her alive and well brings a wave of relief over Bai, and he tells her he wants to eat pickled fish, her favorite, a subtle attempt to get her out of the house. But his father stops them. His father, a C-class electric warrior, is a man whose potential was stunted, leaving him bitter and resentful. He had finished work early just to celebrate his son's awakening, his hopes pinned on Bai achieving a higher rank than he did. When Bai tells him the truth, that he didn't awaken today because the machine was busy, his father's disappointment is palpable. He starts ranting about how other kids are awakening as glimmeranks, calling both himself and his son worthless. The tension escalates until he furiously demands to know what class Bai awakened as. The air grows thick with menace, his father's body crackling with red electrical energy. Bai, steeling himself, says the word he knows will trigger the catastrophe. Dust rank. His father explodes in a rage, screaming, "Are you trying to disgrace me?" This man, his father, is also a violent drunk who can't control his emotions. In his previous life, this was the moment everything went wrong. His father, ashamed and enraged, took his anger out on his wife, beating her for a full hour while a young, terrified Bai could only watch. That beating left his mother with permanent mental damage. This time it will be different. Now he has only awakened as a low-level warrior, and his father is a C-class veteran with real combat experience. The character panels confirm the vast disparity in their power levels. Bai knows he can't win a direct fight yet. His priority is to get his mother to safety. He provokes his father, enduring a brutal punch that sends him flying across the room. As his mother rushes to his side, he pushes her out the door, yelling for her to run, just as he did in his past. But as the door slams shut and his father turns his rage back on him, his mother doesn't leave. She comes back, her face filled with worry, asking her son how he could come back to feed her. Her return throws Bai's plan into chaos. His father, seeing his wife, sneers, "HMPH. Let's see what kind of trash you gave birth to," and grabs her, his hands crackling with violent energy. The memories of his past failure and the sight of his mother in danger ignite a fire in Bai. He will not let history repeat itself. He will protect her, no matter the cost. A man with slicked-back brown hair and a cruel glint in his eyes interrogates a younger, white-haired boy in a stark, shadowed room. The older man leans forward, his voice dripping with condescending curiosity, noting that the boy, Bai, is the first-ever green-tier profession advancer, a feat that should be impossible as advancement typically requires at least a blue-tier profession at a rank. He presses further, questioning why Bai advanced so early and how he managed to transform directly from the lowly green tier into the legendary 1-in-a-million platinum tier. His final question hangs heavy in the air, his tone shifting from curiosity to accusation. "Tell me, why were you arrested and brought here? This is where death row inmates come." The scene then violently rips into a flashback, revealing the brutal truth. The same older man, Bai Lingsheng, who is Bai's father, is shown in a memory, his face a mask of pure rage as he brings a fist down upon a defenseless woman on the floor. Bai Yi's mother. The memory is a whirlwind of violence. The mother cries out in agony as she is punched and kicked relentlessly. Her son can only watch in horror, his mind screaming that his father deserved to die for beating his mother to death like that. The flashback shows the devastating impact of a single punch from an awakened person on an ordinary human. The father continues his tirade, his voice filled with venom and disappointment. He recalls the day he learned his wife, Ryan, was pregnant with a son, a day he thought would be the revival of the Bai family's glory, as his other children couldn't produce a male heir. But his joy turned to ash. His rage explodes as he screams at the memory of his wife, blaming her trashy genes for producing a son who awakened with the trashiest green-tier profession. Piece of trash who couldn't even advance properly. The memory culminates in a final, brutal blow. But just as his fist is about to connect, a flash of green light intercepts it. A younger, smaller Bai Yi appears between his father and mother, his small body glowing with a vibrant green aura, his eyes burning with defiance. He had used Flash Blink, an ability triggered by reaching 100% swiftness, allowing him to phase through obstacles and protect his mother. His father, Bai Lingsheng, is momentarily stunned, then his expression twists into a mixture of surprise and amusement. "Grown up," he sneers, a menacing red aura beginning to crackle around him. He dismisses his son's intervention with a cruel laugh. "Very good." A system window reveals Bai Lingsheng's status, a level 26 C-rank Electro Warrior. Bai Yi, knowing he has to block the coming attack, braces himself. The father's attack is blindingly fast, a skill called Heavy Black Lightning that imbues his strikes with tremendous speed and an electric shock effect. He mocks his son's defiance, but Bai Yi manages to perfectly time a parry, a skill that nullifies 100% of damage and has a chance to reflect it. Despite the successful parry, the sheer power difference is too great. The attack breaks through, and the feedback sends a wave of agony through Bai Yi's body, his ribs feeling as if they are about to shatter. Unfazed by the pain, Bai Yi stands his ground, screaming that he absolutely will not dodge, a promise that in this new life, he will not let any tragedy repeat itself. This defiance only enraged his father further, who scoffs at his son's meager power and newfound backbone, calling his profession weak and deserving of a beating. Just as he lunges for another attack, a loud, insistent knocking echoes from the front door, interrupting the violent confrontation. The scene shifts back to the present moment within the flashback. The father, his rage barely contained, opens the door to find two men in official-looking attire. The leader introduces himself as Lai Ang, the Inspectorate Deputy Captain, and a Red A-rank Divine Priest. He explains they are conducting a house-to-house search for a wanted criminal known as Snow. The father quickly plasters on a fake smile, trying to act casual and assuring the inspectors he would report any suspicious activity. But Lai Ang's gaze falls upon Bai Yi, who is covered in fresh bruises and blood. "Wait," Lai Ang says, his eyes narrowing. "Your son, how is he?" The father hastily concocts a lie, claiming his clumsy son fell while buying groceries, but Bai Yi, with cold determination, shatters the lie. "No," he states clearly, looking directly at the inspector. He hit him. The air grows thick with tension. Bai Yi proceeds to calmly and methodically point out his injuries, explaining which were caused by fists, feet, a stool, and a wine bottle, his voice a stark contrast to his father's panicked denials. He then recites Chapter 8, Article 4 of the Divine Canon, the Awakened Management Regulations, which states that any awakened one who cannot control their violent behavior and harms others must be immediately detained for 15 days in the awakened prison. The father, Bai Lingsheng, is stunned into silence, realizing he's been perfectly trapped by his own son. Inspector Lai Ang, his face grim, places Bai Lingsheng under arrest. The father explodes in a final burst of impotent rage, screaming his son's name as he is dragged away. With his father gone, Bai Yi rushes to his crying mother, embracing her and telling her everything is okay now. He whispers to himself that he protected her this time, and that the 15 days of his father's imprisonment will be enough time for him to become stronger. As he comforts her, he reveals he swiped the safe key from his father during the struggle, the key to an object his father had backstabbed teammates for, the very thing that allowed him to climb from the bottom E-class to his current C-rank. Later, alone in his room, Bai Yi holds the key, his plan solidifying. He will use the object from the safe to solo a demon den. He knows all official dens are controlled by the Guild of God, making them inaccessible to him. His only options are the school's managed dens or a hidden demon den he knows about from his previous life. He arrives at a desolate, abandoned building, the location of the hidden entrance. He understands he must use this opportunity to surpass everyone at the fastest possible speed. A system window defines a demon den as a place where professionals can gain experience and power by fighting monsters. The scene shifts to the inspectorate detention room, where officers discuss the false alarm about the criminal Snow, unaware of the real events that transpired. Bai Ling Sheng, now a prisoner, tries to bribe a guard, who coldly rebuffs him, reminding him of his fall from grace. Bai Yi, meanwhile, has made his way into the hidden den. The item from the safe is revealed to be a glowing portal key. He knows that in his past life, this F-rank dungeon was only discovered 5 years later after a demonic invasion. It is the lowest level hidden dungeon he can access, but even F-rank dens are meant for teams of E-rank awakened. He steps through the swirling portal without hesitation, understanding that while teaming up increases survival, he has no other choice but to go it alone. He materializes in a vast, frozen cavern, the air thick with snow. A system window displays his stats, level 1 E-rank core warrior, with skills in block and haste. The icy landscape confirms his suspicion that this is the territory of ice element monsters. He moves cautiously through the snow, discovering the tracks of a previous visitor before stumbling upon a hibernating beast, an E-rank icefield bear. The sheer power of the creature confirms this is an E-rank den, far more dangerous than the F-rank he anticipated. A hibernating wolf lunges at him, and though he dodges, he realizes even a single beast's level is higher than his own. He draws a magnificent blade, the A-rank Kunwu blade, forged from Kunwu stone, which grants him massive boosts to strength, stamina, and lifesteal. Despite the powerful weapon, the beasts have high defense, and it takes him several critical strikes to take down a single wolf. The experience gained is minimal, and he calculates it will take killing 20 wolves just to level up once. As he finishes the kill, the scent of blood drifts through the cavern, and a chorus of howls echoes from the darkness. A massive pack of wolves, led by a formidable bloodthirsty wolf king, emerges, their eyes glowing menacingly as they surround him. They swarm him immediately. He fights with desperate precision, his Kunwu blade flashing as he parries, dodges, and counterattacks. He lands critical hits, felling wolves one by one, but their numbers are overwhelming. After a grueling battle, he manages to kill the entire pack, including the Wolf King, and a system notification confirms he is upgraded to level 2. He is exhausted, his E-rank body's stamina already depleted after fighting just 20 wolves. He knows he needs to find a way to get stronger faster. The low temperature constantly drains his stamina, and he devises a new, reckless strategy. He purposefully makes a huge commotion, attracting every monster in the vicinity. Giant cloud pythons and another massive B-level tundra bear are drawn to the chaos. He uses the rampaging tundra bear as a battering ram, letting it indiscriminately attack the other monsters while he weaves through the battle, picking off the weakened stragglers to steal the experience points for himself. His plan works perfectly. He levels up again and again, leading the chaotic mob of monsters onto a huge bridge made of ice that spans a deep canyon. He had observed this environmental feature earlier. With the beasts crowded onto the bridge, he smashes the ice with all his might, causing the entire structure to collapse. Dozens of demonic beasts plummet into the dark abyss below, their roars fading into silence. He gains a flood of experience, leveling up to 7, and acquires the title 1 against 100. As he catches his breath, he realizes a crucial detail. The den's final boss has not yet appeared. He understands with dawning horror that the bridge wasn't a natural formation. It was a trap. The boss is intelligent and was waiting for him to exhaust his stamina. From the shadows, a towering, regal figure emerges, clad in icy armor, the level 11 D-rank Lord of the Azure Forest, an intelligent cloud elemental mage. It is flanked by powerful lieutenants and warriors. The Lord raises a hand and the very air freezes. Bai Yi is instantly encased in solid ice, his body rapidly succumbing to hypothermia. He knows he is completely outmatched. In a final, desperate act, he uses a skill called Shatter, pouring all his remaining energy into a single pulse that explodes the ice around him. Free but drained, he charges the Lord, knowing he must kill it before it can cast another spell. But the Lord is prepared. It summons all the beasts that survived the fall from the bridge, including another icefield bear and dozens of wolves. Bai Yi is surrounded, wounded out of stamina, and facing an army. His chance of survival is 0. As a massive bear claw descends upon him, he runs out of strength, his body giving out. His vision blurs, and he is flooded with memories of his past life's failures, the mockery, the pain, the regret, and ultimately his death. Figures from his past appear as red, demonic specters, all telling him to go to hell. But this despair ignites a new fire within him. He screams into the blizzard, "I will not have limits. I cannot have limits. Any regrets that happened in my past life. I will absolutely, positively not let them happen again. I've already lost everything once, and I've already died once. I will never die again." This raw, desperate cry from the brink of death triggers something within him. His body is engulfed in a blinding golden light. A system window announces that while the conditions for a class advancement were not met, he has learned an ultimate skill. He has constantly thrown himself into hopeless situations to reclaim the feeling of power from back then, and this was the final catalyst. A wave of golden energy erupts from him, a skill called Sanctuary. The light washes over the battlefield, instantly obliterating the hordes of demonic beasts. His fatigue vanishes, his stamina is fully restored, and experience points flood his system. He levels up to Sun Tier E-Class, gains the title Icefield Wanderer, and sees his stats skyrocket. Now fully healed and empowered, he turns his gaze to the terrified lord of the Azure Forest. He calmly walks towards the last remaining Icefield bear, his blade held ready. He is now level 10, the highest level of E-Class. With a single effortless slash, he kills the beast. He stands over its corpse, looking up at the dungeon boss, a cold smile on his face. "We meet again," he says, his voice echoing in the sudden silence. In the quiet solitude of the Ziyu residence, a woman with graying hair sits at a dining table laden with untouched food, her expression etched with worry as she gazes out the window into the night, murmuring, "Why aren't you back yet? Please be okay." The scene abruptly shifts to a desolate, snow-covered wasteland under a dark, starry sky, where jagged ice formations jut out from the ground like frozen teeth. Here, the subject of her worry, a young man with striking white hair named Bai, confronts a monstrous bipedal icefield bear, its fur as white as the snow around it. A cool confidence radiates from him as he says, "We meet again," identifying the creature as a level 10 E-Class monster. With a flash of movement too quick for the eye to follow, he dispatches the beast, a system notification proclaiming, "Successfully killed an unsettled icefield bear. Gained 64 EXP. His battle is far from over, as he is immediately swarmed by a pack of feral, monkey-like demons with gray fur and vicious claws. Bai becomes a whirlwind of motion, his blade glowing with a sickly green energy as he carves through their ranks. Another notification announcing the death of a forest demon monkey and a gain of 70 EXP. Facing the overwhelming horde, he unleashes a powerful skill, his voice echoing in the frigid air. Ice Storm Assault. A massive vortex of razor-sharp ice shards erupts from his position, tearing through the landscape. However, his powerful attack proves ineffective against a new, more formidable foe that emerges from the blizzard. System windows pop up one after another, flashing the word immune, and explaining that the cloud element resistance effect has successfully mitigated the frost damage. Before him stands the Spellfiend leader, a towering, crystalline entity crackling with blue and purple energy. Baiyi's eyes narrow with grim determination. This is the final obstacle. "Once I take care of you," he thinks to himself, his grip tightening on his weapon, "I'll be able to reach D-Class." The ensuing fight is a brutal ballet of blood and ice. The creature's crystalline claws slash at him, drawing blood that splatters across the pristine snow, but Baiyi is relentless, dodging and weaving as he lands devastating blows of his own, leaving deep gashes in the monster's body. With a final, decisive strike, he cleaves through the creature's core, whispering a cold goodbye as it shatters into a million pieces. The victory is immediate and transformative. A large system window materializes before him, declaring, "Successfully defeated the level 11 D-Class Cloud Element Spellfiend leader. Gained 1000 EXP. This is followed by another, more significant announcement. D-Class. His power surges, his attributes are boosted by 100%, and he gains 12 attribute points. As he takes a moment to breathe, the system informs him that items are waiting to be picked up, but before he can act, a new, unexpected notification interrupts him. Cloud element has accumulated sufficiently. A new profession is about to awaken. Baiyi's eyes widen in surprise. In the heat of his relentless fighting, he had completely forgotten about this possibility. A chaotic surge of red and black energy like digital static envelops his body, and a new window appears, glitching as it forms. Successfully obtained. ZZZT. Level 1 E-Class Cloud Element Mage Profession. You may switch professions at any time. A red profession, he realizes with astonishment. Even at E-Class, the innate 200% bonus that comes with a red tier class means its raw power is already comparable to his newly acquired D-Class warrior form. Looking at the remaining, lesser wolf-like monsters circling him warily, he sees the perfect opportunity. In that case, he smirks, a new power glittering in his eyes. Let me try out this new profession I've never played before. A crimson aura flares around him as the system confirms the switch to Cloud Element Mage mode, his warrior's garb transforming into the robes of a spellcaster. The timeline jumps to May 24th, 5:00 a.m., back at the ZU residence. The first light of dawn filters into the room where Bai Yi finds his mother slumped over the table, having fallen asleep while waiting for him. Overcome with guilt, he gently approaches and embraces her from behind, waking her with a soft apology. "Mom, I'm sorry for making you wait so long." She looks at him, her eyes filled with love and relief, and he notices her uneaten dinner. "Have you been waiting for me this whole time? You haven't even eaten," he says, his voice thick with emotion. Holding her close, a determined look crosses his face as he tells her, "Mom, I have a proposal. Would you like to hear it?" Later that day, Bai Yi stands before a sleek, modern skyscraper, his plan in motion. Using a magical pouch that can hold up to 20 items, he has brought out a dozen valuable monster cores. He finds a magic ore broker, a portly man in a sharp suit, and begins to negotiate, offering a single glowing red core. Bai Yi's opening price is a steep 8,000, which the broker immediately scoffs at, countering with 2,000 for the entire lot. Bai Yi simply turns to leave, forcing the panicked broker to shout a higher offer of 3,000 apiece. Bai Yi continues to walk, and the price rapidly inflates with each step. 5,000, then 6,000, until the broker finally screams, "Fine, fine, 7,000, stop yelling." With the transaction complete and a significant sum of money in his possession, Bai Yi reflects on his past life, where he knew many such brokers and could leverage that knowledge for a good price. This money isn't for him, it's for his mother. He rents a spacious, beautiful apartment, thinking, "In my past life, she never had a single good day. In this life, I just want her to be able to enjoy herself." We see the date again, May 24th, 8:00 p.m. in their new home. His mother is smiling with a pure, unburdened joy he hasn't seen in a long time. While things are settled for now, Bai Yi knows the fight is not over. He lies in bed, contemplating his next move. The man responsible for his past suffering is still in prison, and until that matter is resolved, he cannot pursue his revenge without reservation. He examines a D-rank stone of magic, a powerful weapon for his mage class, and knows it's time to find that thing. The perspective shifts to a different scene, where a confident young man with blonde hair is shown training ferociously, a system window announcing his level up to a level 3 Astro Assassin. He is filled with arrogance, vowing to show everyone who the real genius is at the upcoming combat simulation test. Elsewhere, a high-ranking official reviews a list of newly awakened students and notes with disappointment that there are no rare golden professions among them this year. The next morning, May 25th, at 7:30 a.m. in the new apartment, Bai Yi's mother has prepared a lavish breakfast spread. He oversleeps, and she gently chides him, telling him to eat slowly and that it's okay to be late once in a while. The simple, peaceful moment fills him with emotion. It's been so long since he slept so soundly or had a proper, unhurried meal with her. Suddenly, his mother's expression turns serious, and she asks what he wants for his birthday, reminding him it's on June 5th. The date catches him off guard. In the turmoil of his past life and his quest for revenge in this one, he had completely forgotten his own birthday. As he ponders her question, "Is there anything I want?" he looks at her smiling face and realizes that what he wants most, he already has. With his resolve hardened, his mind shifts to his next objective, a dark thought crossing his features. Kill him. Later that day, at the affiliated academy for the awakened, a stern instructor addresses the assembled students. "All right, you little chicks," he begins. "Next, it's time to begin the hellish preparations for the combat simulation." He stresses the event's importance, explaining that their academy is directly under the powerful Divine Guild, who will be watching their every move. The simulation is their graduation assessment and will be broadcast live for all to see. More importantly, the student who performs the best will earn a chance to join the high school division's training pilgrimage. This pilgrimage, the instructor explains, is a trip to the Sheng Nation, the headquarters of the Divine Guild itself. This information galvanizes Bai Yi. He knows this is the fastest way to find his target, recalling that this is where his master met the man he seeks, and it is also that man's birthplace. The training begins immediately in the gravity room, with the instructor ordering 10 sets of shuttle runs. But Bai Yi steps out of line, respectfully telling the teacher, "I don't want to use this training room." He proceeds to explain his reasoning with the authority of an experienced veteran, stating that while physical conditioning is crucial, shuttle runs are inefficient for professions like mages or chanters. who would benefit more from training in the element room to hone their control over elemental power. His detailed proposal for individualized training stuns the instructor and a red-haired female classmate, who recognizes the theory as a cutting-edge concept recently proposed by a top officer in the Divine Corps. The teacher, impressed but hesitant about the logistical challenge, listens as Bai Yi promises not to disappoint him in the graduation performance. Bai Yi then makes a specific request, to have the elemental suppression in the element room turned to its maximum setting. The red-haired girl, intrigued by his knowledge and confidence, asks to practice with him, but he curtly rejects her, saying, "No, I'm going into a private room." Inside, alone, he activates his mage profession, knowing he must master its abilities quickly while keeping his dual-class nature a secret from the ever-watchful eyes of the Divine Guild. After school, two boys, his best friends from his previous life, try to catch up to him. He remembers the happy times they shared, but his heart is now cold, focused solely on revenge. He dismisses them with a chilly remark about them being too slow to keep up with his bike. As he rides away, he thinks of one of them, a boy nicknamed Specs, who died from a lung disease in their past life. Even if we aren't friends in this life, Bai Yi thinks with a flicker of his old self, I hope you are at least healthy. His former friends watch him go, confused and hurt by his change in demeanor, though Specs remarks that despite it all, he feels Bai Yi is still the same person deep down. The narrative cuts away to the Sheng Nation, where a muscular man reports to a senior officer, Mr. Ding Yang, about a promising new recruit. Back at home that evening, Bai Yi warns his mother not to go out alone, his protective instincts on high alert. The days blur into a week of intense, focused training for Bai Yi, honing both his warrior and mage skills. On Thursday, his seemingly random advice has a profound impact. At the school hospital, Specs receives shocking news from a doctor. A parasitic tumor was found in his lung during a checkup. The doctor tells him it was a good thing it was caught early. Specs is stunned, remembering Bai Yi's strange warning to get his lungs checked. How could he have known? He wonders, a mix of fear and gratitude washing over him. This gratitude soon turns to panic as he overhears other students gossiping. They reveal that Hong Kaiyansheng, the arrogant astro assassin, is planning to ambush Bai Yi after school, intending to kill him for the previous weekend's humiliation. Realizing Bai Yi is in mortal danger, Specs feels a surge of courage. Bai Yi saved me. He gave me my life back. He thinks desperately. He races to the school armory and tries to force the door open, determined to get a weapon to help his friend, but he's stopped by the red-haired girl. I have to go, he yells, his voice cracking with desperation, to save Bai Yi. Meanwhile, in a derelict alleyway after school, Bai Yi is confronted by Hong Kaiyansheng, who is seething with rage and enveloped in a pulsating red aura. Oh, you think you can beat me now? Bai Yi asks with a calm, almost bored expression. Of course! Hong Kaiyansheng roars, activating his accelerate skill and lunging forward in a crimson blur. He executes a backstab, blink-behind technique, appearing instantly behind Bai Yi for a fatal strike. But his blade clangs uselessly against Bai Yi's, who has turned and blocked the attack with impossible speed. Hong Kaiyansheng's face is a mask of disbelief. His attack power is actually higher than mine. How is that possible? He stammers. Bai Yi looks at him with cold pity, his eyes glowing with power. Did you think that you were the only one who got stronger? In a single fluid motion, Bai Yi spins and delivers a devastating counterattack, a kick that connects with such force that it sends Hong Kaiyansheng flying backward, crashing into the grimy alley wall. As Hong Kaiyansheng lies broken on the ground, he has a sudden, horrifying realization. Even after all his training, the person standing before him was someone he could never hope to surpass. The defeated combatant, a young man with blonde hair, lay sprawled on the cracked, dusty earth. His expression a mixture of disbelief and utter exhaustion, gazing up at the towering, silhouetted figure that blocked out the harsh, golden sun. This figure, Bai Yi, stood with an air of absolute calm, his white hair a stark contrast to the shadowy form he cast over his fallen rival. The blonde boy, Hong Kaiyansheng, couldn't comprehend the power gap during their first fight. He hadn't realized the chasm that existed between them. But now, after his own long hours of training and growth, he felt the difference in an instant, an insurmountable wall that left him breathless and demoralized. He perceived Bai Yi not as a peer of the same age, but as a being he could never hope to surpass, an entity of overwhelming strength. Bai Yi, bathed in a brilliant yellow aura of power that radiated from his entire body, seemed like a god descended to the mortal plane, his checkered pants and simple jacket doing little to diminish his imposing presence. Hong Kaiengsheng, propped up on one elbow amidst the debris of their battle, demanded answers, his voice strained with desperation. You leveled up too. What level are you? He coughed. How did you do it? Why? His mind raced, screaming that it was impossible, absolutely impossible, for Bai Yi to have grown this strong this fast. He recounted his own grueling efforts, the extra training, the after-school practice, the sheer hard work he had poured into reaching level 4, so how could Bai Yi have possibly outpaced him? Bai Yi's face remained impassive, his gaze level and piercing as he contemplated the concept of hard work with a detached curiosity, as if it were a foreign language. With a quiet, chilling intensity that cut through Hong Kaiengsheng's frantic questions, Bai Yi posed a simple, yet profound inquiry of his own, his voice echoing in the sudden silence. Have you ever died? The question hung in the air, heavy and laden with unspoken meaning, hinting at trials and experiences far beyond the simple training that Hong Kaiengsheng had endured. Hong Kaiengsheng, defeated and enraged, spat back with defiance, telling Bai Yi to cut the crap and just finish him off, to kill or torture him as he pleased, clearly misinterpreting the situation as a simple victory and defeat. Bai Yi, however, looked down not with malice but with an analytical gaze, noting that Hong Kaiengsheng had followed him all this way alone, without calling for backup or attempting an ambush. Bai Yi saw through the bravado, recognizing that his rival didn't truly want him dead. He had simply wanted to test his own strength against him, a fact Hong Kaiengsheng vehemently denied, shouting for Bai Yi to stop looking at him with such an all-knowing attitude. Before their confrontation could escalate further, the shouts of other students were heard in the distance, their arrival imminent. Bai Yi, seizing the opportunity, changed his tune, telling Hong Kaiengsheng that he now took back his earlier statement about not hating him and proposed a deal, a path to the very power his rival craved. I can tell you a way to get stronger faster, Bai Yi offered, his expression serious and compelling, a silent promise of power hanging between them. In return for this knowledge, however, he demanded something in exchange. The terms of their pact left tantalizingly undefined as the scene shifted to the formal setting of the academy on May 29th, Assessment Day. A stern-faced teacher stood before a massive assembly of uniformed students, announcing the end of their week of training and the beginning of the combat simulation. He emphasized the gravity of the exercise, explaining that despite the name, they would be entering a real labyrinth, a place of genuine danger even though most of its power had been sealed by a barrier. Within the labyrinth, teeming with demonic beasts, the students were instructed to act within their capabilities, their safety nominally ensured by the presence of senior students from the high school division who would act as guides and intervene only in emergencies. The students would be formed into small teams, each led by a senior, and given a choice between 2 dungeon instances, a relatively safe F-class labyrinth or the much more challenging E-class labyrinth, a choice that could result in the loss of academic credits if failed. The selection began, and the teacher called for those brave or foolish enough to choose the E-class labyrinth to raise their hands. A small handful of students, their faces a mixture of confidence and bravado, raised their hands, drawing murmurs of awe and disbelief from the assembled crowd. With the E-class participants chosen, the teacher announced that the rest would be randomly assigned to the F-class labyrinth. But before he could finalize the decision, a calm voice cut through the hall. "Wait a moment, teacher." It was Bai Yi. He stood up, his white hair making him instantly recognizable in the sea of dark-haired students, and made a declaration that stunned the entire auditorium into silence. "I would like to challenge the school's D-class Spirit Jade Labyrinth." A wave of shock rippled through the students. Jumping straight to a D-rank dungeon was unheard of, a move considered suicidal by most. The director, a man with a severe expression, immediately questioned Bai Yi's decision, pointing out that the school handbook forbade such a high-level challenge. Bai Yi, unflinching, countered that the rules of the simulated combat specifically allowed students to choose their own level. He then articulated his true motivation, reminding the director that the school's ultimate mission was to scout talent for the prestigious Divine Corps, and the criteria for such talent were courage, strength, responsibility, and giftedness. He looked the director dead in the eye, his voice resonating with conviction, and asked, "Director, are you really going to rob me of my chance to prove myself?" The director, momentarily stymied, brought up another rule. D-rank caves required a team for entry. Bai Yi's response was simple and utterly confident. "I can go alone." Just as the director was about to forbid it, another voice joined the fray. Kai Yin, a girl with vibrant pink hair, stood up and declared, "I'll choose D-rank too." Her decision threw the faculty into further disarray, the director protesting that he couldn't possibly explain it to her father if something happened to her. She insisted, her desire to get the highest score overriding her fear. The situation escalated until finally, another student, a tall senior with a confident smirk, stepped forward. "I'll go," he said, introducing himself as Xiling. He spoke of protecting the flowers of the nation, and his presence as a senior seemed to be enough to satisfy the school's requirements, albeit reluctantly. With the team of 3 now formed, the prodigy Bai Yi, the determined Kai Yin, and the arrogant senior Xiling, they were permitted to proceed. The scene then transported them to the dungeon's entrance, a place where reality seemed to bend, a dark forest teeming with unnatural, menacing flora under a perpetually overcast sky. Xiling immediately took on the role of leader, assuring Kai Yin he would protect them all, boasting of his previous experience clearing unsealed D-rank caves. He explained that the monsters inside were generally between level 5 and 15, and since the stronger ones were sealed, they were unlikely to even encounter a boss. He patronizingly warned them not to underestimate high-level E-rank monsters, calling them small fry who had only just awakened. Bai Yi, completely ignoring the senior's lecture, walked past him and deeper into the forest. Xiling, annoyed by the slight, called after him, "Hey, if you rush that far ahead, you could startle the monsters." Bai Yi stopped, turned his head slightly, and delivered a chillingly dismissive reply. "You talk too much. Stand quietly behind me. I don't need your help." The statement left Xiling speechless with rage, his authority utterly undermined before they had even faced a single enemy. Meanwhile, in a high-tech observation room far from the dungeon, the live stream of the simulated combat had begun, broadcast on large holographic screens. A green-haired young man, identified as the ultimate campus vice-captain, excitedly pointed out the stream to his superior, a formidable-looking woman with long, dark hair, the captain herself. "Captain, take a look at this stream. It's going to be fun." One of the juniors picked a D-rank dungeon, he said with a grin. The captain, intrigued, asked what class the junior was. The vice-captain's grin widened. "That's the funniest part. He's just the most worthless green warrior." The captain's interest was piqued, her gaze fixed on the screen as she murmured, "I want to see where his confidence comes from." Back in the D-class labyrinth, the action began instantly. Monstrous creatures, vaguely canine with glowing red eyes and vicious claws, lunged from the shadows. Bai Yi moved like a phantom, a blur of motion weaving between them. With his blade, which glowed with a faint green light, he dispatched the beasts with an almost casual efficiency, each strike precise and fatal. He stood for a moment in the aftermath, surrounded by the dissolving corpses of numerous monsters he had just slain, not a single scratch on him. Kai Yin and Xiling could only stare in utter shock. "You, how did you do that?" Kai Yin stammered. Bai Yi calmly explained that the monsters were sealed and at half strength, making them not so hard to deal with. His nonchalance only highlighted the immense gap in their abilities. Kai Yin felt a sense of inadequacy, admitting she was a long way from catching up to him, to which he simply replied, "Just focus on being yourself." Xiling, however, was fuming. "Ha, you've hogged all the damn spotlight," he snarled, his ego bruised. He tried to reassert his dominance, warning Bai Yi not to be so conceited and reminding him that this was his first time in a labyrinth. Bai Yi once again paid him no attention. Instead, he demonstrated his tactical acumen, which was being broadcast for all to see. He turned to Kai Yin. "Kai Yin, you take care of the monsters coming from the right." He had noticed that the monsters on the right were primarily Astro Element, a type that was fundamentally weak to Kai Yin's floor element abilities. Back in the observation room, the teachers and director were impressed. That's because he observed the elemental counter relationship. One noted, even though this is a test of individual ability, he still made the most logical assignments. It seems he has great tactical awareness. The director recalled Bai Yi's earlier words, "Teacher, trust me," and realized the boy wasn't just bragging. Following Bai Yi's instructions, Kai Yin faced a new wave of insectoid monsters. She summoned her power, casting Vine Wall. Thick, thorny vines erupted from the ground, ensnaring the creatures. She followed up with another command, Constrict, and the vines tightened, the thorns digging in and applying a poison effect, quickly dispatching the monsters. A system message confirmed her kill, and she felt a surge of exhilaration, having defeated higher-level monsters all by herself. Bai Yi watched approvingly, recognizing her talent and potential. He calculated that at this rate, with Kai Yin capably handling her side, he could continue to conceal his true power while still ensuring they both received a high score for the assessment. This entire sequence, however, had rendered Xiling completely irrelevant. Humiliated and seething with resentment at being so thoroughly ignored by the two juniors, his face twisted into a mask of rage. "Heh! You think you're pretty capable, don't you? To completely ignore me. You're senior. He decided he'd had enough. Since you two can handle everything yourselves, then try this. He roared, his body flaring with a golden aura. He drew back his hand, manifesting a bow made of pure light, and knocked a shimmering projectile. Arrow of light! He yelled, unleashing the attack not at a monster, but at a glowing, pulsating seal on the cavern wall. The arrow struck true, shattering the seal and causing the ground to tremble violently. As Kai Yin and Bai Yi looked on with alarm, a deep, guttural roar echoed from the newly formed chasm. From the darkness emerged a terrifying beast, far larger and more menacing than anything they had faced before. A massive, double-headed Maine lion, its 4 eyes glowing with malevolent red light, identified by the system as a level 11 D-class monster, now fully unsealed and ready to attack. The young man with striking white hair stood firm, his gaze locked on the monstrous beast emerging from the tangled, thorny vines that writhed across the cavern floor. A massive, double-headed lion, its fur alight with roaring orange flames, let out a guttural snarl, its eyes burning with pure malice. Elsewhere, trapped within the constricting grip of the same thorny plants, the pink-haired girl named Chian looked on in sheer terror, her eyes wide with the certainty of their impending doom as she cried out that they were finished. Watching the scene unfold from a safe distance was a dark-haired man, a cruel and confident smirk playing on his lips as he savored their despair. The white-haired protagonist, however, showed no fear. A translucent green panel materialized before him, displaying the word swiftness, a skill that promised to temporarily surge his speed by an incredible 50%. In the next instant, he became a phantom, a blur of motion streaking across the dusty ground, leaving a trail of cerulean and emerald light in his wake. The fiery beast, caught off guard by his incredible velocity, could only register a flicker of movement before the protagonist was already behind it, his form reappearing as if from thin air. He activated a second skill, Flash Blink, his blade glowing with an intense green energy as he swung it in a deadly arc, slicing into the monster's flank. Blood sprayed from the wound, but the beast was unnervingly fast, forcing the protagonist to wonder at its unnatural speed as he dodged a retaliatory strike. The smirking observer continued his silent gloating, his internal monologue revealing his orchestration of this deadly encounter. He knew this labyrinth intimately, and was aware that this particular double-headed Maine lion was an overlooked creature that would continuously respawn, a perfect tool for his cruel test. He reveled in the thought of these newly awakened recruits, no matter how cocky, facing a D-class monster he had personally enhanced with his Arrow of Light skill, a wicked enchantment that had drastically increased the beast's speed and damage, making it the fastest of its kind. As if to confirm his words, the lion's aura flared violently, a system window announcing its new berserk state, granting it a further 10% boost to its attack and a staggering 50% to its speed. Seeing the escalating danger, the protagonist called out to Chian, telling her to fall back, a flicker of concern crossing his features as he considered unleashing his full strength. But Chian, her initial fear now replaced by a steely resolve, refused to retreat. Her hands glowed with a vibrant green light as she summoned a vine wall, causing thick, thorny tendrils to erupt from the ground, forming a dense barrier just in time to intercept the lion's furious charge. Not content with a single layer, she summoned a second, and then a third, her face set in fierce concentration as she poured her energy into the spell, creating a formidable living barricade. The lion, momentarily entangled and roaring in frustration, found itself caught within the dense thicket of magical vines. Seizing the opportunity, Chian turned to the protagonist, her voice filled with newfound confidence, asking to join the fight and promising she wouldn't be a liability. She declared with passion that she had worked far too hard to be defeated in a place like this. The white-haired hero was taken aback by her rapid shift from terror to courage, a small, approving smile touching his lips. A memory surfaced in his mind of the Chian he knew from middle school, a responsible and kind class president from a powerful family, a person he felt he could rely on. Trusting his instincts, he agreed to her request, seeing it as a chance to get through this trial without revealing the true extent of his own powers. The rival, however, was unimpressed. He scoffed at their fledgling teamwork, sneering that the vine wall was a temporary nuisance at best, and that their confidence was meaningless in the face of true combat. His plan was simple and cruel. He would let them struggle, let them face the enhanced D-rank monster's wrath, until they were broken and forced to beg him for salvation, a perfect lesson in the brutal hierarchy of their world. Undeterred, the protagonist quickly formulated a new strategy. He explained to Chiyin that he would act as the lure, since the lion was a core-type monster, and that her timing would be critical for their success. With her nod of understanding, he shot forward, his blade flashing as he landed another quick strike on the beast to ensure its undivided attention was on him. The enraged lion took the bait, charging after him as he led it into a shallow body of water that covered a large portion of the cavern floor. As the creature lunged through the splashing water, its fiery aura hissing against the cool liquid, the protagonist saw his moment and yelled, "Now!" At his command, Chiyin unleashed her power once more. She slammed her hands down, casting Vine Wall again, but this time with a strategic twist. Massive green vines erupted not from the ground, but from the water itself, twisting and wrapping around the lion with incredible speed and force, completely ensnaring it. A new status effect appeared over the struggling monster. Poisoned, its strength draining away as it found itself utterly unable to break free from the waterlogged, toxic vines. The protagonist lowered his weapon, his expression calm and collected. "Now it can't escape," he stated before adding with a determined glint in his eyes. "Next, let's end the test and aim for the highest score." The rival watched from his hiding spot, his jaw slack with disbelief. He couldn't comprehend how a single layer of her vine wall had managed to trap the very beast he had personally strengthened. Simultaneously, in a remote monitoring room, an instructor watching the holographic display praised their performance, noting their brilliant use of elemental counters by luring a fire-type monster into water to weaken it, while simultaneously empowering a plant-based ability. It was a flawless execution destined for the highest score in the Academy's history. But just as they were about to land the final blow, the livestream feed flickered and died, the screen going black. The rival smirked, a small device in his hand. He had successfully sabotaged the recording, ensuring their triumph would go unrecognized. He then emerged from the shadows, striding towards the duo with a condescending air. The protagonist, however, wasn't surprised. He calmly explained to a confused Chiyin that her spell had been so effective because she had unknowingly trained her elemental resistance, which allowed her to manifest her skill in multiple more powerful variations. The rival's taunts were cut short when the protagonist turned the tables, mocking the archer's poor aim for failing to hit Chiyin with his strengthening buff, as he had originally intended. Stung by the insult and his exposure, the rival's face contorted in rage, his hand reaching for his weapon before he thought better of it and stormed away, vowing they would see what happens next. After he was gone, Chiyin pieced it all together, realizing the protagonist had orchestrated the entire confrontation to drive the rival away and nullify their official score, keeping them out of the spotlight. He confirmed her suspicions, explaining that this anonymity gave him the freedom he needed to accomplish the remaining things. He led her deeper into the cavern, towards a massive, intricate magical formation glowing with an ominous red light on the far wall. "Class President," he said, his voice serious, "can you keep what happens next a secret for me?" His true objective was far more dangerous than simply passing a test. He intended to completely unseal the Spirit Jade Magic Shield, a powerful D-rank containment spell. Chiyin's eyes widened in horror, protesting that unsealing the shield would unleash all the high-level monsters it held captive. Ignoring her pleas, he placed his hand on the glowing crystal at the seal's core. A torrent of chaotic red and black energy erupted outwards, shattering the magical barrier with a deafening crack. A wave of monstrous roars echoed through the cavern as dozens of glowing red eyes ignited in the darkness. Chiyin trembled, realizing they were now facing 50 D-rank monsters alone. "We don't need two people," the protagonist said calmly, his back to her. He instructed her to stay by the exit. "I'll do it alone." A powerful aura flared around him, his school uniform seeming to melt away as his form shifted, now clad in dark armor and wielding a colossal, crystalline weapon that pulsed with light. He had transformed, revealing his hidden identity as a mage. A horde of fiery beasts surged forward, a tide of claws and fangs. Chiyin could only stare, dumbfounded, as a system window declared his new profession. Cloud Element Mage, a legendary red quality class. With a single phrase, Flash Freeze, he unleashed a wave of absolute cold. The air crackled and misted as the charging monsters were instantly encased in thick blue-white ice, frozen mid-stride in grotesque statues. She was in awe, recalling her own struggle to contain a single lion while he had effortlessly controlled 3 powerful monsters at once. He needed a larger area to maneuver, and she quickly retreated to give him the space he required. He became a whirlwind of elemental fury, freezing creatures with Flash Freeze, then instantly switching his class to a Nucleo Warrior, wrapped in crackling green energy to slice through a powerful fire saber-toothed tiger that had resisted the ice. In that moment, watching him seamlessly shift between roles and elements, Qian had an epiphany. The true essence of a mage wasn't raw power, but perfect, absolute control, the ability to manipulate natural forces to create endless variations from the most basic of skills. She understood that he had achieved a level of mastery that left her and everyone else far, far behind. As the last of the smaller monsters was dispatched, the ground began to tremble violently. A colossal shadow fell over the battlefield as the labyrinth's true master emerged. A system window identified it. Spirit Jade Labyrinth Lord, a level 15 D-class Hell Mammoth, its power halved by the lingering seal, but its presence still overwhelmingly terrifying. "So you've finally come out," the protagonist said, his voice calm despite the immense pressure emanating from the beast. He shifted back to his nucleo-warrior form, leveling his glowing blade at the behemoth. "What I want is on you." He moved faster than sight, a green comet that slammed into the mammoth's leg, the words "critical hit" flashing in the air. The mammoth, even in its weakened state, was utterly outclassed. He became a storm of relentless attacks, each blow a critical hit that shattered the mammoth's defenses. For his final move, he activated a magnificent ability, Sanctuary. His body erupted in a pillar of golden light as a tidal activated above him. 1 against 100. The light expanded into a devastating wave of holy energy that washed over the entire cavern, disintegrating the hell mammoth and every last trace of the monster horde. As the light faded, a cascade of notifications filled his vision, confirming his kills and the massive influx of experience points he had earned. From the spot where the mammoth had fallen, several items materialized. He collected a pouch of fierce bones, a rare high-grade material called Hing's Fang, an essential component for crafting an S-rank nucleo weapon, and most importantly, the item he had come for. It was a strange, pink, brain-shaped object split into two perfect halves, the resonant Hingstones. He held the two pieces in his palm, a look of profound satisfaction on his face. "I finally got you," he whispered, his true mission now complete. The young man with stark white hair and a simple white blindfold covering his eyes stands alone in a desolate landscape of gnarled, dead trees under a dark sky. A series of translucent green and red windows materialize before him, announcing his progress. His nucleo warrior level has surged to 13, achieving D-class, and his cloud element mage level has climbed to 11, also reaching D-class. An additional notification celebrates a bonus of attribute points gained. He observes these updates, a thoughtful expression on his face, noting that his mage class is now also D-class. A more detailed holographic display appears, showing the evolution of his title. What was once 1 against 100 has been upgraded to the more formidable one-man army. The description explains that when he faces enemies alone, all his attributes are increased by a significant 20%, and a 10% lifesteal effect is now added to his abilities, rewarding his solitary combat style. The system windows fade, and he continues his solitary walk through the eerie, dark forest, the ground littered with the remains of defeated foes. The scene shifts abruptly to a group of uniformed individuals running in a panic through a brightly lit corridor. A man with a stern expression and dark hair shouts that if the seal has truly broken, it would be a huge disaster. Another expresses disbelief, stating they've never detected such a large energy fluctuation before. Their leader, a man with a prominent chin, berates his subordinate, questioning why he's out in the hall instead of protecting the underclassmen inside. The subordinate urgently replies that there's no time for that, and they must get to the scene immediately. They burst into a cavernous, icy area where a massive, glowing red sigil is etched into the ground. The leader, seeing the chaos, exclaims, "The seal is broken." He spots two figures standing near the seal, Bai Yi and a young woman with pink hair named Kai Yin, and shouts their names in alarm. But as he gets closer, he sees the two of them standing calmly. Bai Yi, ever placid, turns his head slightly. The teacher, bewildered, asks them what they are all doing here. Another student points out that the seal isn't actually broken. The teacher, realizing the mistake, wonders aloud if the machine reported an error again. Bai Yi simply hopes that everyone is okay. The scene changes to a different setting, an office space, where a man with brown hair and a determined look on his face is speaking to a vice captain with green hair and glasses. He argues that the materials he just submitted should be sufficient for him to claim the last spot on the team. The vice captain, however, delivers bad news with an apologetic tone. "I'm sorry," he says, "but our captain has already chosen someone." The brown-haired man is shocked, demanding to know who was chosen. He insists that the spot was supposed to be kept for the most valuable person, questioning if his own skills and background are not enough. The vice captain calmly explains, "We've already found the most valuable person." The scene reveals the captain, a woman with long brown hair, looking at a file. She remarks that Bai kid is very interesting. His profile is displayed, showing him as a golden electro-element assassin of an unknown level. Later that evening, a man named Chen Jinwoo, an investigator for the inspection team, confronts another individual, telling him he'd better not cause any more trouble. Chen Jinwoo mentions he went through a lot to get him out early. The other man with reddish hair simply says, of course I do." Chen Jinwoo relays a message that Captain Hong will arrive next Friday, implying a deadline or an important event. As he talks, he gets a call and clicks his tongue in annoyance, complaining that old geezer is calling me again. He tells his companion he's heading back to the unit and that the other should head home early. The companion agrees, saying, "Of course I will." But as he walks away, the words "go home early" flash in a menacing red font over a close-up of his face, hinting at a sinister intent. The scene then cuts to a disheveled, bearded man furiously slurping noodles, the sound echoing in the small room. Back in a squalid, messy apartment, a brutish man with a dark beard smashes a table in a fit of rage, demanding to know where a mother and her son have run off to. "You son of a bitch!" he screams. "How dare you hide from me?" Meanwhile, in a much calmer setting, a gentle-looking woman, Bai Yi's mother, places a beautiful red jade pendant around his neck. "This is the responding spirit jade," she explains softly. She tells him to keep it with him always, revealing that she has one just like it. She instructs him that if he is ever in danger, he must crush the jade. She will sense it through her own and come to him right away. Bai Yi looks at the pendant, his expression unreadable behind his blindfold, and reflects that without it, his mother would be too worried to let him go out alone. He recalls that his mother never had any necklaces or jewelry, none of the things a woman should have. His mother says not to worry, that she doesn't feel the need for such things. Later, as he stands alone, he wonders if he'll ever be able to meet the important people his mother spoke of in this life. The time is 11:58 p.m., and Bai Yi stands before the pulsating, hidden entrance to a wild, D-class demon lair. He knows the jade issue is settled, and now he can focus on what he needs to do. He notes that this hidden lair only opens for a short time at midnight and closes at 1 a.m., so he doesn't have much time. He's determined to get stronger. Inside the lair, the environment is a hellish landscape of red rock and glowing flora. Bai Yi reflects on his past life, where he had already become a top-tier warrior. Despite his power, he could only watch helplessly as his comrades died before his eyes. Now he faces swarms of demonic plants, heart-devouring flowers, their tendrils lashing out at him. He moves with deadly grace, his blade a blur as he cuts them down one by one. He knows he can't have friends because one day when God has a whim, they will still die without a proper grave. This thought fuels his ruthless efficiency. A critical hit notification flashes as he decapitates another monster. "I must become stronger," he tells himself, his resolve hardening with every kill. Faster, stronger than everyone else. He fights relentlessly, his white hair becoming spattered with the green ichor of his enemies, his feet treading on a carpet of vanquished floral demons. He feels he is still too weak, unable to defeat that man, let alone the genius golden rank archer from his past. "So I have no detours or shortcuts I can take," he concludes, stepping forward with grim determination. "I can't avoid any enemy." He stands before a massive horde of demonic beasts, his small frame a stark contrast to the overwhelming numbers he faces. He unleashes a powerful skill, Contingency, which sends out a sweeping blade of light, mowing down dozens of monsters at once. Another skill, Pure Land, creates a golden dome of energy, obliterating everything within it. System notifications flood his vision, confirming kill after kill. He checks the time. The entrance will close in 20 minutes. He needs to defeat the Lord of the Lair quickly. As he ventures deeper, a massive, treant-like creature with glowing green eyes and a body of twisted wood rises from the ground. This is the Lord Yi Wuming. Bai Yi engages it immediately, but he quickly discovers the Lord possesses a potent self-healing ability called Growth. Not only that, but the smaller demonic beasts he had already killed begin to rise again, their bodies regenerating. Bai Yi is perplexed, as a D-rank Lord shouldn't have a revival ability. His confusion turns to shock when a second, identical Lord emerges from the ground. It's Yi Wuming's twin brother. There are two Lords. To make matters worse, a notification informs him that it is now 1:00 a.m. and the demon lair entrance has closed. He's trapped inside with two powerful, regenerating bosses. Back in the outside world, it is now the following day, a rainy Saturday evening. Baiyi's mother stands by a window, worried. He's still not back, and he isn't answering any of her messages or calls. She fears he has gone off to some dangerous place by himself again and resolves to go find him. As she opens her front door, she comes face to face with the abusive, bearded man from before who grins menacingly. Heh, well, he sneers, if it isn't Mommy and the kid. He had found their new place. Lightning cracks across the sky, illuminating his cruel face. Inside the sealed lair, Baiyi is caught in an endless battle. It's the fifth wave of resurrected monsters, and he realizes he gets no experience or items for killing them over and over. I have to find the source of their endless regeneration, he reasons. He uses a skill called Flash Step, moving with incredible speed through the battlefield, his form a blur of motion. He observes that even the lords can heal instantly from grievous wounds. This is so broken, he thinks. It doesn't just revive dead monsters, it can also instantly heal its allies. He realizes that not even an S-rank healer could perform such a feat. There must be an external source of power. He parries a blow from one of the lords, impressed that it learned his move mid-fight. As he dodges, his eyes scan the cavern and he spots it, a massive ancient tree glowing with an intense green light. A flower-type demon lair. He murmurs, this giant tree must be the energy core. He now has a clear objective. So all I have to do is cut down these giant trees, he declares, a confident glint in his eye, and then I can finally kill you. The Lord Yi Wuming lets out a roar of no. Baiyi switches from his warrior class to his cloud-type mage class. The other Lord, Sai Wuming, screams, stop him. But it's too late. Baiyi casts Form Ice, and a massive wave of freezing energy washes over the area, encasing the giant trees in thick crystalline ice. A system window confirms his theory, identifying the Lords as mid-tier demon kings. With their power source neutralized, their regeneration is gone. He switches back to his core-type warrior class and swiftly defeats Yi Wuming. Only Sai Wuming remains. The lone lord, now vulnerable, looks at Baiyi and speaks, its voice raspy. Kill me. Baiyi is taken aback, remarking that it's the first time he's seen a lord like this. He asks if it doesn't want to live on now that its brother is dead. The lord doesn't answer, so Baiyi obliges. Fine, I'll grant your wish. He defeats the final lord. With the bosses dead, the cave entrance reopens, and he is flooded with notifications. He gained a massive amount of experience, causing his core-type warrior level to increase by 15. More importantly, his cloud element accumulation is now sufficient, and a new class is about to be awakened. He wonders what class it will be this time. A blue window appears, announcing he has successfully obtained the level 1 E-rank, flower-type summoner class. Intrigued, he examines the skills of this new, seemingly low-rank class. Its primary skill is Flower Spirit Contract, which allows him to form a contract with the soul of a defeated flower-type monster and make it serve him. A passive skill between the flower fields lets him see the souls of recently deceased flower-type monsters. A realization dawns on him. An evil spirit contract? He thinks, in that case, the two bosses I just defeated. Does that mean I can? He activates the Flower Spirit Contract skill. A swirling vortex of blue spiritual energy erupts around him. He looks towards the spots where the two lords fell and calls out, "You too, get over here." In response, two massive ethereal forms rise from the ground. The glowing blue spirits of Yi Wuming and Sai Wuming, the twin demon kings, materialize before him, their forms now bound to his will. A man in a dark suit stands in the middle of a torrential downpour at night. The city lights blurred behind him as rain soaks his hair and clothes while he holds a phone to his ear, his expression one of shocked excitement. He shouts into the phone, overjoyed at the news he's just received. A chance to get in on Chef Hong's party, an opportunity he clearly believes is golden and will get him back into the guild. He pumps his fist in the air, a wide, triumphant grin on his face as rain streams down, promising to prepare a magnificent gift and not waste this chance. Later, under the same dreary, rain-filled sky, the protagonist, a young man with striking white hair named Baiyi, stands under a blue umbrella, facing his mother. She wears a simple green apron over her clothes and looks at him with gentle concern as he asks why she came downstairs in the rain. Inside their warm, well-lit home, his mother holds up a small, beautifully wrapped gift, revealing that he had gone out in the storm just to get her a belated Mother's Day present. She gently touches his face, a fond smile on her lips, chiding him for thinking she wouldn't know what he's up to just because she can't speak while he looks away, a hint of bashfulness on his face. Later, alone in his room, Baiyi examines his status screen, which glows with information about his three classes: a green warrior, a blue summoner, and a red mage. The detailed stats show that 2 of his combat classes have already reached D rank, listing numerical values for strength, speed, stamina, and elemental power, multiplied by percentages specific to each class. He thinks to himself that this power isn't enough, his mind on someone who went to prison 10 days ago and is due to be released in 5. Knowing this person could bribe a guard for an early release, Bai confirms he's prepared things in advance, his gaze falling on some unseen items, his expression hardening with resolve. The scene explodes in a vortex of crimson energy as Bai stands in the center of a desolate landscape, declaring that running away won't solve anything, and he must settle this for good before he leaves to train. A series of notifications flash across the screen, announcing the clearance of multiple hidden demon lairs, both E rank and D rank, showing his relentless grind through the afternoon. As evening falls, another notification appears. D rank hidden demon lair cleared. Bai stands cloaked in swirling red and black energy, a notification proclaiming level up, appearing before him along with a thought bubble stating, "The next time we meet, I'll be stronger than you." A bright ding sounds as a new system window materializes, announcing he has acquired the title Lone Wolf Hero for solo clearing a demon lair at or above his level 10 times. The title comes with a reward, the Hero's Key, which can unlock the Tower of the Brave once certain conditions are fulfilled. Bai looks at the glowing notification, a curious expression on his face as he wonders what it is. The next morning at the Awaken school, a female teacher with a stern expression stands before the class and makes a thrilling announcement. She reveals that Bai and a pink-haired girl named Kai Ling have taken first and second place in the entire school's final assessment. She continues, explaining that a recording of Bai's performance was sent to headquarters for analysis, and his final score has been rated the highest in history, causing a stir among the students. Because of their incredible achievements, both he and Kai Ling have earned a spot in the prestigious training journey. Furthermore, thanks to Bai's extraordinary performance, they will also be granted a rare audience with the Divines, an honor that sends shockwaves through the classroom, with students exclaiming in awe that not even clerics are guaranteed such a privilege. In the dean's office, a blonde-haired young man with a determined look on his face speaks to an older man with glasses, his uncle. He declares that he is not going on the training journey, stating that since he only got 3rd place, he doesn't deserve to go, and he doesn't want people thinking he relies on his father for everything. Leaning forward, he asks his uncle for a favor, to grant him access to the sealed, D-rank demon lair on the back mountain, his eyes burning with the desire to get stronger by himself. In the principal's office, a different student, a young man with dark hair, is on his knees, begging his uncle, the principal Zai Yunking. The principal stands over him, radiating fury, admonishing him for his impulsive and foolish actions. He reveals that the student, the last of the Zai bloodline, powered up a demonic beast to backstab underclassmen during the combat test, a pathetic trick the higher-ups saw right through. The principal yells that if he hadn't covered for him, he would have been expelled. The principal explains that the student's foolish actions inadvertently led the higher-ups to notice Bai. They think something is off about him, his growth curve being too unnatural, and now someone from the Divines wants to meet him in person. He allows his nephew to go on the training journey but warns him to drop his rotten attitude and show some humility, because if he causes any more trouble, he won't be able to protect him. The disgraced student agrees, but as he leaves, a malicious glint appears in his eye, thinking to himself, HMPH, Bai, just you wait until the training journey. Back in the classroom, a student excitedly presents Bai with an invitation from the Ultimate Club, the strongest club in their school. The classroom erupts in chatter, with students amazed that they would invite a middle schooler, a direct path into the prestigious Guild of the Gods. However, Bai simply takes the invitation, crumples it into a ball without a second thought, and tosses it into a nearby trash can, shocking his classmates into silence. He stands up and says, "I'm leaving," as his friends watch, one of them remarking that Bai isn't the type to join up with anyone. He'll only ever be a leader. That night, on the mountain behind the school, Bai stands before the entrance to the demon lairs. He meets the blonde student from the dean's office, who is now his training partner. The blonde boy, trying to prove his worth, insists he won't drag Bai down. Inside a dark, cavernous lair filled with grotesque monsters, the blonde boy is quickly overwhelmed, struggling to fight off demonic beasts with sharp claws and glowing red eyes. Bai appears beside him, effortlessly dispatching monsters with a green glowing sword, and calmly asks, "Need help?" The blonde boy, panting and surrounded by enemies, pridefully yells back, "Get lost! I can do it myself." Days pass in a montage of intense training. On Thursday, after clearing another lair, the blonde boy celebrates, exclaiming that he finally got his warrior class to C rank. A system window confirms his class advancement, displaying his new, significantly higher stats. He thinks to himself that his current stats should be more than enough to deal with him. That night, Baiyi lies in bed, a memory or dream playing out in his mind. He sees a beautiful woman with long, dark hair and piercing eyes, identified as Hila, an A-rank golden lightning assassin. She affectionately calls him captain and asks him to carry her after a victory. He reflects on his past life where he only met her after being rescued from death row. Now in this new life, he's the only one with his memories, and he laments that even if they were to meet, they would just be strangers. Elsewhere, a man with long, dark, flowing hair, the captain of the ultimate club, sits in a spacious room. He holds the crumpled invitation that Baiyi threw away, a smirk on his face. A subordinate informs him that Baiyi still hasn't responded and isn't interested. The captain finds this increasingly interesting and decides he will go meet Baiyi himself and deliver the invitation personally. Friday arrives and it's Baiyi's birthday. His mother presents him with a gift, a hand-knitted scarf. He looks at it, then at her, realizing she knew he was planning to go to the Holy Kingdom, a place with drastic temperature swings between day and night. He's touched by her foresight and care, especially after having told her he didn't have any friends to celebrate with. At school, his friends surprise him, one giving him a flashy model figure and another giving him the soundtrack to his favorite movie, a nostalgic reminder of their shared past. Just as he's thanking them, Kai Ling, the pink-haired girl, approaches him shyly. She wishes him a happy birthday and hands him a small, ornate box. He opens it to find a glowing blue gem inside. A system window identifies it as an A-rank mage weapon, the transmutation gem. He is stunned, immediately trying to refuse such a valuable gift. Kai Ling insists he take it, explaining that her family has many of them, and it's a thank you for helping her get into the training journey. She says it should be a big help to him right now. Baiyi, looking at his thoughtful friends, feels a warmth spread through him, realizing he was wrong to think he had to leave this place and cut all bonds. As his two male friends start whispering and teasing about how close he's getting with Kai Ling, Baiyi turns to the group. A rare, genuine smile graces his lips as he asks, "Let's all grab dinner tonight, my treat. Are you guys free?" The air in the high school classroom is thick with chatter as a young man with striking silver hair and intense golden eyes sits quietly, a stark contrast to the lively students around him, one of whom excitedly shouts that he's treating everyone. Their boisterous energy is abruptly cut short as they notice a group of older, more imposing students heading directly for their classroom. A wave of confusion and whispers ripples through the room, with students questioning why high schoolers are here, their uniforms clearly marking them as different. The silver-haired boy, Baiyi, watches their approach with a narrowed, analytical gaze, noting their determined path towards his class. The gossip immediately ignites, with one student explaining to his bewildered friends that the captain of the prestigious elite school squad is here in person. The news spreads like wildfire, another student adding that he heard the captain is coming to personally invite Baiyi to join their ranks, a fact that sends a shockwave of awe and disbelief through the onlookers. The conversation quickly turns to the captain herself, with students asking if anyone has seen her, one boy admitting he's only heard rumors that she's a great beauty, which only adds to the fervent excitement in the hallway. Meanwhile, Baiyi, overhearing all of this, lets out a quiet sigh of exasperation, his expression one of pure annoyance as he gets up from his seat, deciding it's better to refuse the offer in person rather than let the spectacle continue. As he prepares to confront them, a dark-haired, arrogant-looking member of the elite squad glares in his direction, muttering to his companion about whether this cocky brat Baiyi is really worth all this fuss. Baiyi steps out into the hallway, his face a mask of cool indifference. But as he takes a single step, the world around him warps and crackles with intense, golden lightning that materializes from thin air, enveloping the corridor in a storm of energy. Flashes of light blind the other students as the golden tendrils of electricity dance and surge around Baiyi, who stops dead in his tracks, his eyes widening in surprise as he exclaims, "Eh!" The air hums with power and he instinctively looks up, trying to pinpoint the source of the sudden magical assault, questioning what's going on. The golden lightning intensifies, coalescing into a blinding flash of light that forces everyone to shield their eyes. From within the maelstrom of energy, a figure moves with impossible speed. Baiyi senses scream, and he immediately recognizes the attack as a feint, a distraction meant to draw his attention. His eyes dart to his left rear, his instincts screaming of a new threat materializing behind him. A swirling vortex of green energy manifests there, a clear sign of a powerful floor element attack being summoned. The attack is unbelievably fast, the green energy lashing out, but Bai Yi's reaction is even faster, a testament to his own formidable abilities. A blur of motion and a flash of golden light intercept the green tendrils as the captain, a young woman with long, flowing brown hair and an aura of crackling yellow lightning, appears before him, her fist stopped just a hair's breadth from his face. The sheer force of her halted punch creates a shockwave that ripples through the air. She smirks, her eyes glowing with power, and commends him. "Your reaction was really quick. I didn't choose the wrong person." Her voice is confident, almost playful, revealing this entire ambush was a test of his skills. Bai Yi remains silent, his expression unreadable as he stares back at the powerful captain of the elite squad. The captain, her body still wreathed in golden lightning, smiles warmly, and then, to the utter shock of everyone watching, she opens her arms and says, "Captain, give me a hug." Her squad members and Bai Yi's classmates look on with dropped jaws, completely bewildered by this turn of events. She then reveals her true purpose, explaining that they had sent many invitations to him, but never received a response, so she thought she'd come down and visit in person. She formally introduces herself, but before she can state her name, she looks at him with a deep, knowing gaze and says, "Hila, long time no see." This revelation of his apparent true name, Hila, sends another shockwave through the crowd of students who erupt in a frenzy of gossip, one exclaiming, "Holy crap! This is earth-shattering gossip," as they process the fact that their classmate not only knows the elite captain, but was just hugged by her in public, speculating wildly about a cross-class romance between an older woman and a younger man. Hila, unfazed by the commotion, embraces her. She holds him, her face close to his, and asks if his embrace signifies his acceptance of her invitation to join the elite school squad, which she describes as fully funded and possessing the best resources. Hila pulls back slightly and with a calm but firm voice shatters her hopes and the expectations of everyone listening. "I won't be joining the elite school squad," he states plainly. He goes on to explain that he won't be staying at this school for much longer anyway, so joining a school club is pointless for him. Then he delivers the most shocking statement of all. "But I will be establishing my own guild soon." He looks her directly in the eye, a glint of determination in his gaze, and adds that when that time comes, they will have the chance to fight side by side. Just then, one of her squad members interrupts, informing her that a Captain Hong is back on campus and the principal wants their entire squad to greet him. As she turns to leave, she pauses, looking back at Hilo with a curious expression, wanting to ask about his long-time no-see comment, but he has already turned and walked away, leaving her and the stunned crowd behind him. The students are left to process the insane series of events, one asking what he was talking about, finding the idea of a student starting his own guild to be impossible and outrageously expensive, dismissing it as mere bragging, while another remembers hearing that he got the highest score in the history of the junior high assessment, adding a layer of credibility to his bold claims. As he walks away, Hila reflects on the encounter, a small, knowing smile playing on his lips. He muses that he never would have imagined that she, a member of his past, would be in the same middle school as him, a reunion that almost didn't happen. "I guess," he thinks to himself, "this is a birthday surprise." The scene shifts to the evening of June 5th at a bustling establishment called Old Wang's BBQ Shop, where Hila is sitting with his friends. They're grilling meat over a small brazier, and one of his friends asks if he was serious about wanting to establish a guild. Another friend notes that he also said he wouldn't be staying here for long and asks about his high school plans. Hila calmly replies, "After the training pilgrimage, I plan to stay in the Sheng Nation." His friends are shocked into silence, one of them stuttering, "You mean you want to apply to the Sheng Nation's Divine Soldier Academy?" His ambition is clear, far exceeding the scope of a normal high school student's dreams. Simultaneously, at the opulent Kaiben Hotel, a different story unfolds. A powerfully built man with a cape, identified as Hong Bing, the head chief of the Divine Guild, is being respectfully escorted into a lavish banquet hall. Inside, a tense situation is brewing. A man with reddish hair complains to his companion, questioning how a certain Bai Lingsheng, who was supposed to be locked up for 15 days, is already out. His friend explains that he paid double the bail money and the captain approved it. Bai Lingsheng, a man with a desperate and haggard look, is revealed to have brought a massive pile of glowing blue ghost crystals, a highly valuable magic-infused ore, as an offering. He's attempting to buy his way back into the guild, a last-ditch effort to reclaim his former position. His attempt is met with utter contempt. A commanding voice yells, "Scram!" and the head chief, Hong Bing, appears looking down at Bai Ling Sheng with disgust. "Who let you in?" he demands coldly before kicking the pile of ghost crystals, sending the valuable ore scattering across the floor like worthless junk. He berates Bai Ling Sheng, calling him an outside dog and questioning how he dares to try and buy a position from him before ordering him to take his useless junk and get out. As guards drag the humiliated Bai Ling Sheng away, the chief decrees that from now on no one is allowed to let this dog into the guild ever again. Dragged outside and thrown to the ground amidst his shattered hopes and scattered crystals, Bai Ling Sheng's despair turns to pure, unadulterated rage. His face contorts into a mask of fury, his eyes glowing with red malice. I'll kill you all," he snarls, blood dripping from his clenched teeth. "How dare you fucking look down on me?" A terrifying, blood-red aura erupts around him, pulsing with murderous intent as he screams about how a fucking useless chief dared to humiliate him and how not a single thing is going his way. Consumed by his rage, he vows to kill them all. Stalking through the dark city streets, his body still wreathed in the sinister red aura, he spots a lone woman walking ahead. A predatory, cruel smile spreads across his face as he mutters, "What good luck?" It is Hila's mother. Back at the BBQ shop, the mood is cheerful. Hila's friends, unaware of the impending danger, raise their glasses for a toast. "Then a toast to Bai Yi," one exclaims using his school name. As they shout happy birthday, the red pendant around Hila's neck suddenly flashes with a brilliant light. His smile vanishes, replaced by a look of shock and concern. At that very moment, his mother is confronted by the deranged Bai Ling Sheng. "Heh, you bitch," he sneers, his eyes burning with hatred. He taunts her, asking if she's forgotten where her home is while living a comfortable life, and menacingly asks which dog of a man she's relying on now. His red aura flares as he looms over her, his face a grotesque mask of rage, promising, "Today I'll make you remember everything clearly." He lunges at her, but as he does, a simple, elegant bracelet on her wrist emits a blinding green light. From the light, two fierce, plant-like summoned beasts materialize, their forms vaguely reptilian and covered in vines and thorns. They are D-class flora element summoned beasts, and they speak in unison. "Don't worry, Master, we will protect you to the death." Hila's mother, terrified but safe for the moment, recognizes the bracelet. She remembers her son, Zioyi, giving it to her as a Mother's Day gift, telling her, "When I'm not around, wear this at all times." The bracelet was a guardian, a final line of defense he had left for her. Bai Ling Sheng, however, is not intimidated. He smiles cruelly, seeing the summoned creatures not as a threat, but as a perfect outlet for his pent-up fury. "This is perfect," he snarls. "I'll take out my anger on you." With a flash of red energy, he effortlessly slices through one of the plant guardians, its body disintegrating under his powerful attack. Back at the restaurant, Hilo abruptly stands up from the table, a grim expression on his face. He tells his surprised friends he has something to take care of and is leaving for a bit. He rushes out of the restaurant and immediately makes a phone call, his voice tense. He's talking to someone named Hong Sheng, asking what he found out. The voice on the other end reports that Bai Ling Sheng was released from prison early, went to a banquet at the Kaibin Hotel, was kicked out, and then they lost track of him. Hila's blood runs cold. He knows the Kaibin Hotel is perilously close to the apartment he rented for his mother. His mind races, connecting the terrible dots. If the enraged and unstable Bai Ling Sheng ran into his mother, he immediately tries to video call her, his thumb tapping the screen frantically. The call rings, but there's no answer. The screen displays the dreaded words, "Call disconnected." A look of pure dread and horror crosses his face. He knows, with chilling certainty, that his mom is in grave danger. Without a second's hesitation, he leaps onto a nearby bicycle and begins to pedal with all his might, his face a mask of desperate determination as he races through the night, thinking only one thing: "I have to get back right away."